problem is when I bring this issue up, invariably every time, it's someone on the right or the losertardians that chime in and say we should never raise the minimum wage, that minimum wage should go away, and so on. These guys are trying to apply free market principles to a captured economy. And we shouldn't be printing money out of nothing either, yet it happens. So if you're going to print money out of nothing and you're going to create enormous amounts of inflation to pay for the welfare state, the warfare state, and all these other, all of this endless nonsense, all of the endless prisons that everybody on the right seems to want, if you're going to do that, then you have to keep up with the inflation you're creating, right? You're creating all this inflation. So, and by you, I mean everybody. I mean, remember, all the state is your collective greed and incompetence. Okay, that's all government is. It's your collective greed and incompetence. And it doesn't make any difference what your politics are at this point. This is a money issue. So when you decide you want to have, well, we want free health care, for example, okay, someone has to pay for that. There's no such thing as free. You need to get that out of your head. You have got to stop that. Someone somewhere, even if it's just that you're enslaving doctors to do this for free, they're paying for it, right? Okay, well, we want to have more prisons because we want to lock more people up because we don't like their behavior. Okay, again, someone has to pay for all of that. And nobody wants to pay for it. So the idea is that politicians use is, well, let's print more money. If you're going to have a currency that's a chicken shit fiat currency, like a debt-based currency like the dollar, then you also then have to be able to negotiate properly as a citizenry and say, okay, well then if you're going to do that, if you're going to create 15% annual inflation, it's actually closer to, I mean, well, depending on how far you go back, but I mean, 14% isn't too far off, okay, going back many, many years. Compounded, by the way. So if you're going to create, let's say 15% of inflation, then you need to have your minimum wage going up 15% every single year to keep up with all the inflation you're creating. Well, but that'll create the dollar, that'll cause a dollar collapse. Yes, that is precisely what it's supposed to do. That is, you have to understand that, I mean, some of you, I don't think really understand who I am. I want this to collapse in the worst way for two reasons. I want all of the fake billionaires to be completely destroyed financially, okay? Because they're fake. They don't do any fucking work, and they don't really add a whole lot of value to the economy. They just don't. If they did, they would be actually trying to genuinely create more and more jobs for people to do, not try and replace them. They would be trying to create more. There was a period in time in this country's history when wealthy people would conjure jobs, like literally jobs that didn't even need to be done, like doorman, bathroom attendant, shit like that. They would conjure these jobs into existence to give people something to do, because you knew if people were busy and they were doing something and they felt as though they were part of the economy, they felt as though they were a productive member of society, then they would take society a bit more seriously. They would take life seriously. They would actually, be a fun, in other words, it was cheaper, right? Because if people feel they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves, then they police themselves. You don't need to have endless amounts of police and laws and all that other bullshit, right? In other words, you get to have a culture. There's that word. So there was a period of time when people who were fairly wealthy would kind of invent jobs like this. Now they're doing everything they can to eliminate all these jobs and just say, well, we don't need to have anything, and self-checkout. We're going to charge you more money for the groceries, but you're also going to do all the work yourself. Well, so I want to see those guys go away, but I also want to see all the people on the left, okay, understand that there is no such fucking thing as free. Okay. Okay, I mean, I know I have a lot of leftist followers, but dude, there is no such thing as free. You can go back to the very first video I ever did on YouTube. It's still there, and I point this out. There is no such thing as free. Everything is an energy transfer. Everything on this planet, it's a finite planet, and you are a part of its mass, right along with everything else, okay? You can think that you're some kind of alien being from some other world, like Prometheus style, but the fact is that whether you believe in God, the Bible says that you come from dirt, or you believe in evolution, which says that you, once again, come from the dirt, the end result is you are still, in fact, a part of this planet's mass. So there's nothing that is for free. And it teaches the lesson that when you conjure currency out of nothing and you create shitty systems like this, they are doomed to failure every single time, and especially when you involve central banking. So no, of course I want this stuff to all collapse. Of course that's one of the reasons why you would do it. You would peg your minimum wage to real world inflation, whatever inflation you're actually creating. So again, if you're creating 15% annually compounded, then that means that from 1971 to now, minimum wage would be something like what? $1,250 an hour, something like that. It's probably about right, because that's how much inflation you've created, right? I mean, you have to get past the dollar idea. Remember, the whole idea behind the dollar is that, well, we're just going to keep taxing it and so on, and that gives the illusion of it having value, even though it's conjured from fucking nothing by central bankers. It's really complete crap. It has no. It's the most worthless currency that's ever existed throughout all of mankind. Even the Romans, and I've said this a dozen fucking times, even the Romans couldn't make a currency that fucking worthless. And they tried. Trust me, the Romans tried to make worthless currencies, but they still had to use metal discs. And even the garbage metal they were using still had some kind of utility value if you melted it down and actually did something with it. Similar to the dollar, that, I mean, I suppose if you were cold and you needed something to set on fire to stay warm, yeah, I guess the dollar has some utility value at that. Or if you need toilet paper or something, then once again, it has some utility value, but it has no actual value in terms of unit of measurement. It has no fucking value whatsoever, because it's not an accurate unit of measurement, because it's just conjured out of nothing. So therefore there's nothing static about it. Keep in mind that if you're going to have, if you want to, for you guys out there that want to have the no minimum wage, okay, fine, you can have zero minimum wage, but you also have to have zero inflation. If that's the case, zero, then you can have no minimum wage. Until then, people have to just, they have to go with the flow on this, and they have to say, well, that's it, man, fuck it. I mean, I'll just become a criminal along with everybody else. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Same thing happened to the Soviet system. People eventually just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm tired of obeying all these laws. And of course, in the Soviet Union, once all the fear went away, fucking Soviet Union collapsed. Like within a week, it just fucking went away. Well, yeah, because the only thing that was holding together was fear, just like the U.S. right now. And that fear is rapidly going away. More and more people, more and more Americans are getting more and more angry, and they're realizing just how armed they actually are. Because if you actually do the math on how armed the average American is, when this goes kinetic, I mean, like, it's going to be unlike anything that this world's probably ever fucking seen. So, just heads up on this. No, you want to have minimum wage increase, and you want to have it increase a lot. And what that'll do is that, again, that teaches the lesson that you're not supposed to do this kind of stuff. You're supposed to have zero inflation, and then you can have your zero minimum wage. And then the people who actually show up and do all the fucking work will, in fact, make all of the money. This is just a fact. 20% of the people will eventually hoover up 80% of the wealth because of that. So I hope that makes sense.